Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Hope you're surviving this whole coronavirus reality, which has been, I think, hard on everyone. I know for myself, I have definitely neglected my health and still, trying to get back into that and hoping that all of you are working on reducing your stress as much as possible. This video is particularly for insulin resistant sufferers who are doing a dry fast or upcoming dry fast or may do a dry fast. I have to say it's definitely geared towards a month of Ramadan. So it's like a month of fasting, and it's basically intermittent fasting for 29 to 30 days for the entire month. So if you're doing dry intermittent fasting, one of the differences here for advice is that if you're wanting to do keto, definitely. The diet part is not going to be for an intermittent dry faster who's doing dry fasting, let's say 4 or 5 days in the week, whatever it is. This is not going to be related to that unless you're going for a full month. And that's completely different. If you're able to sustain a dry fast, intermittent fasting for an entire month, for dry fast, some considerations here. And I wouldn't advise that anyways. Okay, so if you're already keto, this is now I'm going to advise just on for the people who are going into the month of Ramadan. If you're already keto and you're insulin resistant PCOS, okay, again, for this group, then it's fine because your body has already been adapted. I'm not speaking about like doing it 3 days before the fasting month starts. I'm speaking about that you've been living a keto life for a good month or 2 months or more. That's different. For those who think that this time of the month is going to be perfect to become keto and get back on track, my personal advice is that you can do it, but it's not a good decision. I would not even advise that. So I'll explain why. For your body to become, adapted, it takes about a month for you to get into burning ketones and for your body to get into the cycle of burning ketones. And before, when you get into the process, you're churning out a lot of water. You're dehydrating. So this is why Ramadan, it's a dry fast. You're not taking in anything. To decide to go become keto during this month, not a good idea because the impacts will be 10 times more. You can't drink water. When you have that headache, when suddenly you have that weakness or whatever kind of, keto flu symptoms you may have, it's going to be quite painful. So my advice is do it after. During this time, my advice is that you go on a low carb diet, in the sense that if you're not on anything really, if you're in high carb or if you're so instead of going for high carb or keto, go into the middle, which is more of a low to moderate carb diet. So how it's going to look. You're going to be sahur time, so you're getting ready for the fast. You're going to be taking in at that time some protein, some carbohydrate, like a sweet potato or something else, a small carbohydrate portion, maybe some walnuts, almonds, and lots of water. And that's going to be some maybe berries if you're into the fruits, berries. And that's going to be your preparation for the fast. During that time, your supplements would be like magnesium, vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3. So that would be kind of like I think the baseline. If you want to take additional things that you're taking, for sure, go ahead, do that. But I haven't said to take myo-inositol or any kind of NAC product, so I'll explain. When you begin fasting, you naturally go into a more low insulin state. So throughout the day, your insulin levels will be balancing out and lowering through the entire day. Now, time to eat. Iftar time, what do? Please do not go for the dates. I know this is like, what? I know there's a special connection. It's spiritual. It's beautiful. Everyone's breaking it with that, with a date. Do not go for that date. What I'm going to reference here right now is what Thomas DeLauer has been speaking about for a while, and I completely concur with him, is you break it with a lean protein. So it could be like a piece that you save for yourself, like some baked chicken or a baked fish or like a boiled egg, and you have that, a few pieces, take it in, take your water, wait 20 to 30 minutes or an hour, come back, and then have your meal, whatever it's going to be. So when you have that meal, that's when you're going to be taking your myo-inositol and then your NAC, because I'll tell you why. your insulin now is going to, begin rising, and levels are going to be kind of go chaotic because now you will begin eating in your window. And in that window is where you're going to be taking the myo-inositol and NAC to, balance the insulin out, because you'll be taking in a lot of food, I know. But you're not taking NAC or myo-inositol before you begin your fast the next day. So you're taking it when you break your fast at that time, and then through the night, if you have to add additional intake for it, let's say you decided to go for a cake or something really high glycemic and you want to take in some more myo-inositol to balance that out, by all means. But the meal that you're going to be having before you go into your fast will not have that element within it. This is my personal recommendation. And the other reason why you're not taking the myo-inositol and NAC is because your insulin levels are already going to be balancing and lowering. You don't want to lower already the intake of your, let's say, reducing the intake or reducing or implementing or influencing the insulin to lower, because you may end up passing out. So again, too, be vigilant with the insulin, but also be smart as to what you're intaking and how you're going to be balancing your insulin. Remember, when you fast, insulin levels, flatten. They dip. So you need to recognize that part as well. This is just some tidbits, some ideas here into how to have a more healthier fast in terms of being a PCOS insulin resistant sufferer and not have those spikes. Because I know for myself, I had been flat on the ground because suddenly I had this huge migraine just by taking one bite of something really wrong, which includes fruits, which includes anything that has high glycemic. And I was just flat. I could not even move because the impact was too much. Also too, like other aspects of going up and down in glycemic levels. So all this can be curbed when you're doing, your fast or going through a dry fast. Because specifically with a dry fast, remember, you're not getting any fluids in, which even increases this sensitivity around insulin responses. And even like being able to even take in some salted water to help with electrolytes, you can't do. So all this you have to be very careful with when you're insulin resistant and fasting. So key points, takeaway, low carb to a bit moderate carb before you begin your fast. Even if you want to do low carb, moderate carb after you break your fast is completely fine. Key point here is that as you go through, do not break your fast with the traditional dates, but with a protein. Then wait for about 20 to 32 minutes to an hour, and then have your meal. That time you take your myo-inositol, NAC, or anything that balances out your insulin, and then you go into the cycle again. I hope this made sense. Any questions or comments, let me know. I'm sending you and your family love, calm, and a sense of safety in any which way or form. All right, take care.